Fine. Very good morning to everybody. Today we will just discuss some of the questions that were left from your chapter, the Browning version of Epigon, and also extra questions related to this chapter because comment in brief on the undercurrent of humor and fun in this drama. If you're asked to talk about humor, do you find any instance of humor in this play, directly or indirectly? Yes, speak up. What are the instances of humor in this drama, directly or indirectly? If you find any instance, yeah, it is not necessary that whatever questions we would be discussing, you would be getting questions only from those. You can get any question based on the text. Okay, thinking beyond the text, about the text, anything. So if you're asked about humor, that plays an important part here, directly or indirectly. Can you find out any instance of humor? बताओ. Speak up, just try. Even if it is wrong, we are here to discuss things. गलत भी हो सकता है, कोई बात नहीं. हम इसीलिए हैं, हम डिस्कस करने के लिए आए हैं. हाँ जी बोलो. When Millie Crocker Harris suggests Taplow to go away. Okay. What else? What else? Don't you find humor in Taplow mimicking his teacher? You know, this culture of mimicking, the culture of imitating the teachers and other fellow teachers encouraging, you know, the students to mimic their teachers. That this has been highlighted, but this is an indirect reference of indirect humor here. And what else? बताओ. The way in which Crocker Harris behaved with Taplow and how he asked him to explain the joke in front of the entire class, which he himself, which Taplow had not understood at all. This also is an example of indirect humor. So you can say that there are references, there are humorous instances, but reference to humor is indirectly. You can mention one or two of these instances. Okay. Effect did Crocker's classical joke have on Taplow? What was the effect? This we've discussed. This is another way of putting the question, but we've discussed it already. What effect did Crocker Harris's classical joke have on Taplow? Yes, speak up. So his joke, they were beyond the comprehension of any of the students. They just went above the head of the students because they could not understand them. Okay, but out of what was the effect? The question is, what was the effect on Teplo? Because it is out of politeness and out of courtesy, because he felt sorry for the teacher, he just laughed because the joke was a very flat one and students could not understand it. So nobody seemed to have understood it. So that is why Taplow, because he felt sorry for the teacher as the teacher had meant it funny. So that is why he laughed at that. So that was the effect. Okay. Next is, how are you going to differentiate between Crocker, Harris, and Frank? What are the various marked differences between the two? Yes? Yes, Arju. Bolo. Arju. So Crocker, Harris, the first difference is, in their age also. He's a very mature and he's a middle-aged kind of a teacher, and whereas Frank is comparatively very young, and also he exhibits the kind of attitude he exhibits is a very immature one as far as his uh, students are concerned, his attitude towards his students or towards his fellow teacher. Because he himself says that I am not interested in the kind of science I am teaching. Then time and again he keeps on encouraging Taplow to imitate his fellow colleague, that is Crocker Harris. So Crocker Harris is a very strict teacher, he's very serious, and he's a very traditional kind of a teacher, and he maintains a kind of a distance between himself and his students, and also he follows the code of conduct. He's a strict disciplinarian, and if the students they make any mistake, then they are asked to repeat. They're punished with by. And how does he punish them? By making them write extra lines. Okay, and he does not reveal the results to the students before they are supposed to be disclosed, and he's very sharp also at observing what his students are up to. For example, he could easily make out that Taplow had not followed his joke, because he had laughed out of courtesy, but then he told him to explain the joke in front of the entire class, which shows he's very sharp. He's a very sharp observant. Okay, and then Frank, on the other hand, is true to his name. Is very frank with his with his pupils, and he is also a gossip monger. He enjoys a full session of gossip, which Tableau puts in front of him, and he even encourages him. He motivates him to mimic his teacher, and he's slightly irresponsible. Frank is irresponsible because, and how do you know that he's irresponsible kind of a teacher? How can you say that Frank is an irresponsible teacher? Yes, he encourages, he's an informal teacher and very irresponsible because he encourages a student to mimic his fellow colleague. Okay, well, so this clearly shows that his behavior and his attitude towards his students and also towards his fellow colleagues. Okay, where was Mr. Crocker Harris? Where was he? Speak up. Option A, at the bursars. Yes, good. What did Millie suggest to Teplo in her husband's absence? Yes, it is option A again. We go to the chemist. Yes. Does Teplo think that Mr. Crocker Harris is biased? Does he think that he's biased? No. 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 He doesn't think that he's biased. And what is biased? What is biased? Bolo? To discriminate or unnecessarily to favor one student. Okay, so being subjective in your approach, that is biased. Okay, then how unfair? Yes, you can say unfair also. Next question is, how is Mr. Crocker Harris different from other teachers? Yes, he's strict, he's old. Yes, option A, he's not biased at all. Next is, how did Frank react upon the arrival of Mrs. Crocker Harris? He was relieved, he was happy, he was nervous, nothing as such. How can you say that he was relieved? When Millie Crocker Harris entered, how can you say that he was relieved? Yes, you can say he was nervous from the context. We don't know about the rest of the play. You can make out from because this is just an excerpt. This is just a part of the play. We have not read the rest of the play, so we cannot say that he was relieved. He might have been relieved, but that would have been we could have given this answer if we had read the entire play. So we have not read it, so we can from the context which we know from the extract from the excerpt which we know, we can only say that he was nervous because they were mimicking her husband, and they were both of them were engaged in a session of gossip, and the person who was being talked about was Mr. Crocker Harris. So you can say that he was nervous. Okay. um, Taplow says with dislike Ashler's, and he's, look, what time did Mr. Crocker Harris tell you to be here? 6:30, sir. Well, he's 10 minutes late. Why don't you cut? You could still play golf before lockup. Before lockup means? Before lockup means what? Yes, closing time. Okay. So Teplo is shocked and he says, "Oh no, I couldn't cut the croc. Mr. Crocker Harris, I couldn't think it's ever been done in the whole time he has been here. God knows what would happen if I did. He'd probably follow me home or something like that. I must admit, I envy the Frank says, I must admit I envy him the effect he seems to have on you boys in the form. You all seem scared to death of him. What does he do? Beat you all or something? Taplo, good lord, he's not a sadist like one or two of the others. Can we have the question? Question is, what is Aeschylus referred to here? Yes, what is Aeschylus? It's a Latin play. It is probably a part of Taplow's syllabus. As everybody knows. Everybody knows that Crocker Harris is a middle-aged teacher of, and here his student is Taplow. What suggestion does Frank give to Taplow to while away the time? What is whiling away the time? What is whiling away the time? Yes, it means waste your time. So what does he? What is the suggestion that he gives him to while away the time? What does he ask him to do? Yes, Neha. He asked him to cut off and play golf. Yes, good. Did Tableau agree? Why not? Why not? Did he agree? Somebody else has to answer, or not Sneha or Mehak. Somebody else. Did Tableau agree to it? If he did, why? Sanya, bolo. And he felt that he could not even imagine what the teacher would do if he did so. Give the synonym. Synonyms means words with the same meaning of sadist. Synonym of sadist, a person who gets pleasure in hurting someone, takes pleasure in the pain of others. ठीक है, but this you've explained in a line. अगर आपको सिर्फ synonym बताना हो, ruthless, yes, you can say ruthless, brutal, cruel, yes, ठीक है. Envy, envy, synonym, jealousy, yes. Yes, feeling jealous. To feel jealous, yes, ठीक है. Next, Frank, I don't know anybody who doesn't use that for his own purposes. Well, it's natural, sir, but not with the croc. Mr. Crocker Harris. Mr. Crocker Harris. The funny thing is that, in spite of everything, I do rather like him. I can't help it. And sometimes I think he sees it, and that seems to shrivel him up even more. I'm sure you are exaggerating. No, sir, I'm not. In form the other day, he made one of his classical jokes. Of course, nobody laughed because nobody understood it, myself included. Still, I knew he had meant it as funny, so I laughed, out of ordinary common politeness and feeling a bit sorry for him for having made a poor joke. Now I can't remember what the joke was, but I suppose I make it. Now you laugh, sir. And Frank laughs. Questions, please. What is Tableau's general attitude towards Crocker Harris? What is his attitude, general attitude towards Crocker Harris? Without him, and is he sympathetic towards him? He likes Mr. Crocker Harris in spite of his crazy instincts. Yes, in spite of the teacher being so strict, in spite of the teacher, not having any emotional kind of showing any emotions for his students, in spite of each and everything, in spite of his crazy instincts, as somebody had typed, he still liked him a lot. How does Mr. Crocker Harris react to Tableau's attitude? What is the reaction of the teacher towards Tableau's attitude? How does he react? He shriveled up even more knowing that Tableau liked him. Okay? And because as Tableau elaborated in front of Frank that he didn't like being liked. Why did Tableau laugh though he didn't understand the joke? We have discussed it so many times. What was the general reaction of the form at Crocker Harris's poor joke? General reaction was? What was general reaction of the form at his poor joke? Nobody laughed. Nobody understood and hence nobody laughed. Yes. What do you mean by shrivel? What do you mean by shrivel? Give meanings of shrivel and Ashish? Please. Yes. Politeness. Politeness. Gentleness. Yes. Gentle and throaty voice. Tableau, who laughed at my little joke, I noticed. I must confess that I am pleased at the advance your Latin has made, since you so readily have understood what the rest of the form did not. Perhaps now you would be good enough to explain it to them so that they too can share your pleasure. The door upright is pushed open and Millie Crocker Harris enters. She is a thin woman in her late 30s, rather more smartly dressed than the general run of schoolmasters' wives. She is wearing a cape and carries a shopping basket. She closes the door and then stands by the screen watching Tableau and Frank. It is a few seconds before they notice her. And please be fast in answering. Whom does Tableau mimic here and who is talking to him? Whom does he mimic? And who is talking to him? Fran, yes. Who is Millie Crocker Harris? Describe her appearance. How does she look like? Who is she? You know it that she is Crocker Harris's wife. Now describe her appearance in just one or two lines. Hurry up. He is quite smart as compared to the other teachers' wives. Where does she seem to come from? In a shopping basket, so it appears as if she's come from Shopping. Who does you and I stand here for? Stands for Taplo and I stands for Rocker Harris. Okay. Next question is give advance. What is advance? Yes, it is progress. And what is form? What is form? Yes, from here means class. So I think that would be all for today. Only one passage is left, and I believe it is not that difficult. You people can do it yourself. Kamna, you can stop sharing. Thank you so much. And please submit your work. And even if some work is the previous pending assignments are also there, submit that also. Okay. And do let me know whenever you are late in submitting your work. वो मुझे message up कर दिया करो. Okay. Okay. Now let's take your attendance. Roll number 1. Have a nice day.